I made this effect a while ago, and the response was pretty good. So I'll walk you through my process in this video. We will need a single asset, this nebula texture you see on your screen. I'll drop a link for you in the description. Everything else is done in the Godot editor. Let's see how. Let's add a sphere for the orb in the middle and start working on our first shader. First, let's turn off shading, so we see the exact colors we create. Now I'll add the UV scrolling effect. For now, let's just visualize the UVs without texture. I'm using fraction, so the offset loops around instead of increasing forever. I want to be able to control the scroll speed, so let's introduce a uniform for that. Let's add some noise. Make sure that your noise is seamless. Let's move on to our vertical gradient. This is where it will really start to look like fire. To overlay the two, I wanted something that can both darken and lighten the colors. The gradients values go from 0 to 1, which I have remapped to go from -1 to +1. I've added this value to the noise. Now we are cooking. The only thing left is colors. Make sure to disable repeat, so the frames won't wrap around. I found that for gradients, cubic interpolation in OKLab color space works great. And for our last touch, make the orb material additive. I also wanted to have a galaxy background around the orb, kind of like a wormhole, so let's just do that. Once again, let's work without shading. Our first step is to use the screen UV coordinates for the nebula background. There's two things going wrong currently, the colors and the aspect ratio. You can see that the nebula texture is pretty much stretched around the window without keeping its aspect ratio. Let's fix that first. Now the nebula texture will always keep its aspect, no matter the window size. The colors have this weird brightness to them, which gave away the lack of gamma correction, so let's apply the default gamma. Much better. To be honest, I'm not sure why we have to manually apply gamma, but it works. Let's move on to the alpha mask. It should fade the pancake on the edges. And with that, we have our nebula ready. As a finishing touch, set the render priority to -1, so it will always render behind our main effects. Let's move on to the flame dome. It's pretty similar to the orb, so we can reuse most of what we made. Configure some defaults, so the noise colors are untouched. Now we can configure a noise-based flame similar to what we did for the orb. By capping the gradient before 50%, we make sure that the bottom faces don't show. Also, by adding a brighter band near the center of the gradient, the effects boundary gets a bit more readable. Now let's add our color gradient. To really sell the effect of burning, I wanted to add some sparks. These are short-lived particles with a ribbon trail mesh. Let's get the motion right, and then we can set up the rest of the visuals. For the material, a simple circle gradient with additive blending should do. I also don't want to have the particles appear and disappear so abruptly. A color gradient will have the particles fade in and out of existence smoothly. And that does it. Don't forget to check back later. In the next video, I'll talk about the animations.